How are we, boys? Welcome back. Elliot in the house. Dan is little sick, so I'll apologise early for Dan's little coughing. He's taken a bit of time off work today because he's felt a bit crook. And we've got the vice chairman in, Tom Simpson. How are we? We haven't had you on for a while, and it's a pleasure to have you in the house.
Yeah, no, it's good to be back. I might be sharing Dan's sickness as well, a little bit under the weather, so apologies for a bit of a croaky voice. I think the last time I was sick, Adam, it was down in when COVID with the Melbourne tour. And that was the last time I was sick. So it's always a bit of Manchester United related, but it's good to be back. Feels a while since obviously the World Cup, which I think helps the off season in regards to sort of giving us something to consume instead of the sort of nothingness of no football. So yeah, good to be back. And look, Manchester United are back playing, so no shortage of talking points, I bet.
That takes us back a bit, Tom. That was a very worrying situation, wasn't it? That COVID situation. We thought you went with it, and then a few other boys got it too, didn't they? And we thought, oh God, here we go. The whole tour was going to end up with it.
Well, I didn't go to the second game. I watched the second game from my hotel bed.
I remember that. That was big news at the time. How are we, Elliot? You good?
Yeah, good, mate. I think I'm in the same boat as the other two fellas. I'm like a bit of sickness too. I had yesterday off sick, but I just try to, I took it off to try and preempt that if I went to work yesterday, I was going to go quickly downhill. So I'm still a little bit tight chest sort of today, and a bit of a sore back from coughing, but I'm all right. I think it was that cold New South Wales weather, mate, the other week.
Yeah, Elliot didn't enjoy it at all. So if anyone doesn't know, we had Elliot down in the cave for a few days. Last weekend, was it, Elliot?
Weekend before, yeah.
Weekend before already. Far out. So Elliot stayed. He had a nice sleepover. He came in. We done a few lives on TikTok and everything like that. And we did a bit of football nostalgia. We went out and watched Marconi versus Sydney United. Caught up with a couple of people out there. Went and watched me, I think my future son-in-law play. Elliot was pretty impressed with the way the Marconi under-20s played. And so we had a good time. Yeah, very good time.
Good.
Came down for the World Cup final. So Dan, the man who has been getting us in trouble over the past 2 weeks with Vinted. And I'll tell you what, Dan, how are you, mate? You got a nice collection of jerseys in the background. He's been giving me a lot of headaches, but I've sort of enjoyed it.
I'm good, mate. Other than the feeling pretty crooked today, yeah, pretty good. Got all the jerseys sorted now on a rack and in bags. So yeah, we've made some good progress. And Vinted is a nice addition now that they have Australia included in their delivery. So I think we've all been getting pretty busy on that front, which has been awesome.
Yeah. So if anyone doesn't know, Vinted at the moment is now in Australia, and Australia Post is now subsidising the postage, and your first few items, I think your first 5, are free delivery from the UK. And then after that, it goes to about $4, and then it creeps up a little bit. I've bought a fair bit, and I'm still at $5, so I'm enjoying the postage at the moment. But anyway, we have some transfer news to go through and everything like that and get the show on the road. The first one I'm going to touch on, because I'm a bit devastated if this happens, is Harry Amass. Elliot didn't know about it. It just literally broke. Well, the article that I saw was literally 10 minutes old, so it's just broken. Manchester United have put it out there that Harry Amass is up for sale for £6 million. And in my eyes, I'm not going to swear, it's a disgrace. We had the problem with Fernandez. Is it Fernandez? Was his name? Dan?
Yeah.
We had the problem with him, and we never learn are we going to learn our lesson from that? Surely not. It's just not good. I can't stand it at the moment. It's just ridiculous. We had our few sales the other day, and then everything's just flatlined again, and then everyone's on edge. Who are we buying? Every time we hear if the bid's too high, we're not going to go for it. I don't know what they want, Ineos, but I think there's not long to go in the window. I think there's still a few weeks to go in the window, but they need to be. It's a weird situation in my eyes, because usually we don't want them to go and spend big on a big player and then it's a flop. And I love the youth, so I want the youth to get a chance. And even in these friendlies, and I know it's friendlies, but the youth at the moment is playing better than the first team. And I know people can sit here and go, oh, yeah, but they haven't been together. Mate, they've been training together all last year. Let's get that right. The youth have the same time off, and they've come out putting better football together than our first team. Where do you stand on this Harry and Mass thing, boys?
I think it only makes go Tom.
Yeah, well, before the other boys share their opinion, I might offer a little bit of a different opinion on here. I have no issue personally with letting Harry and Mass go. I look at if Manchester United want to go and win which isn't going to happen this year, but it is the goal, it is the ambition. It should be sort of where the mindset is. If we're going to win a Premier League next year and left back is a place we want to improve and invest in, Harry Mass, I don't believe, is going to be in a Premier League winning title team. I don't know who that left back is. Let's say that football tells us that's Lewis Hall. If we want to go sign Lewis Hall, that's 70, 80 million pound. Not that I agree with that price tag, but that's sort of what that will cost. With Harry Mass, I agree the price tag is the issue. I have no issue with letting the player go. I don't personally. I see a good player. I don't see a Premier League winning left back. That's not to say Luke Shaw is or Patrick Dorgu is. My issue, I would agree with Adam, that the 6 million is laughable when you look at other clubs and they're selling players you've never even heard of. However, what I would say with Harry Mass, he's not linked to Everton, Aston Villa, Real Madrid, Juventus. He's linked to clubs in the Championship. So £6 million for us, we laugh at it. We say, how is that possible? They're the clubs who want him. Do we overrate? I'm not saying we do overrate him or underrate him. I'm just thinking the reality of the situation is bad because we do compare ourselves to the other clubs. If Liverpool were after him or Chelsea were after him, yeah, I'd want to put a 3 in front of the 6 and make it 36 or 40 million. It's not. It's clubs like Watford and Norwich. So I just think, I agree. I can't get my head around 6 million when you look at other clubs. But I look at the clubs interested in him, I'm thinking that's big money for them.
But where does it come a time, though, to give the player a chance?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's probably more my issue, giving a player a chance. Dan?
I think we spoke about this maybe a podcast or two ago around, I guess, surplus to requirements in that position. And I guess if you look at the personnel that we've got there, yes, you've got Harry Mass. Yes, you've got Diego Leon. Yes, you've got Luke Shaw. Yes, you could argue Mazraoui. Yes, you could even argue Patrick Dorgu at times as well. We do have surplus to requirements at that left-back position. So, in some ways, but I do think we don't have, like Tom said, like the quality of a left back there from who we've got. So it is a position that I wanted us to strengthen in. However, I'm not sure if this is the right tack to play or not. I don't think Luke Shaw is a left back that fits the mold that Carrick wants, and I honestly see him as more of a backup to Martinez, Heaven, as a left-sided centre back moving forward as his legs get older and down the line. So I understand as well that the club probably are at the point now where we need to generate some income to buy. So this is probably where I guess that listing on the transfer market's coming from.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Like I look at it and go, yeah, we need to be making more money from our youth team players, absolutely. But it only makes sense to me if we're going to go in and bring a left back in. Like if we go and bring Hall in, then I can understand it because it's Hall's you're basically going to end up being your first choice left back with Shaw probably as cover on a rolling 1 year, I'd have thought. But they clearly don't think, like Tom said, that he's a Premier League winning starting left back, which is fine. And if that's the case, then they've got to make a quick decision on him. And if the quick decision on him is let's flip him now whilst he's worth something to us, then fine. But what annoys me is the difference in fees we get for our youth team players and the difference in fees other clubs get. Like James Trafford went to who did he go to last year before City?
Burnley.
Sorry, yeah, Burnley. And he was £20 million. and he hadn't played a Premier League game. He played for Bolton in League One. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, some of the fees that other clubs are able to get for their youth team players when we're letting people like Zidane Iqbal go for 250k, and we're letting Amas go for 6 mil, and other players we're not generating a lot of cash from. So hopefully, if we do sell Amas, this is the start of United trying to get better fees for their youth players.
I think a lot of it goes around, and we're right in regards to the price tag, and it is the alarming thing that stands out with this story. But I'll direct it to you guys, and Adam, give your 2 cents, because you said Harry Amas give the chance or give youth players a chance, which I'm fully on board with. But how do you view the left back situation? Because let's say Harry Amas, okay, we're giving him the chance, and Luke Shaw is injured. Michael Carrick sees Patrick Dorgu as a left winger, not a left back. If Harry Amas takes his chance, okay, that is fantastic. If he doesn't, and money would probably bet that he won't in regards to our demands, he's a young player coming through. Is he ready for first-team football to be Manchester United's number 1 left back? It's that risk first reward. I'm fully aware of that, and that is what Manchester United's built on. But do you see a situation where Harry Amas is worthy of being Manchester United's left back this season?
For me, I just don't see us getting a left back. That's the situation. I'm really worried about who we're going to get in that back line. So at the moment, we've got in that back line, we're trying Lenny Euro out on that right-hand side. Yeah, we're trying him out on being the other players aren't back. I understand that, but they're trialing him out on that right-hand side. So
do you think they're trialing him out there? Because I don't think they are. I think we just don't have anyone else to play in that position, so they're just getting minutes in his legs.
Yeah, but you got Conan, is it Conan, the young fella as well? Like, he's come in that second half and absolutely killed it. You know what I mean? And I understand it's a friendly, and it's against, they changed up the side the second half big time. But my issue, I don't generally just look at it from that. I look at the way. So, for example, when he was playing right back, he got to the line, he got the ball, cut back, and everything like that. We scored 2 goals. He got 2 assists off that. I never see Diego Dalot trying to get to that line and try and cut a ball back. You know what I mean? And that's my frustration. That's what I see. I see quick decisions made by a player. I don't see Dalot making quick decisions. How many times do we see Diego Dalot get into a good position? He probably gets in better positions than most of our team. Can't strike a ball. You know what I mean? Just that's the way I look at it. I look at Dalot now. I'm hearing now he's out till November, December. So that leaves us with Lenny Euro. That leaves us with Aiden Heaven and Harry Maguire in that. And who?
Yeah. Mags.
Yeah, Harry Maguire in that centre half position. So can you see us getting a centre half? I don't even see that.
I don't see a centre back, but I do see a left back. I do. You
see us getting Hall.
I see. I don't know if it's going to be Hall or Williams Morris. I think they find a way to get a fullback in, because they've signed Tynan Thompson now as almost left wing cover as part of that talent pool. Rashford's obviously currently not leaving. I'm still not 100% sure that's going to... I know I've listened to the Talk of the Devils podcast earlier, and there's an 80% chance, according to Mitten, that he stays and plays for United again, which is a very interesting take. But are United just playing a very, very good chess game? It's really hard to know, right? But if he stays, you probably go, that's why we're not looking at a second striker, because he can fill in on the left or he can fill in up front. You got Cunha as an option there. And the fact that we brought Tynan Thompson in as a youth team player there, who may get some minutes like Heaven did last year, leads me to believe that they're not going to sign a left winger. They're going to look at a left back. And then you go through who we're going to get. Well, if we're not going to get another marquee midfielder, then we could afford to put 50, 60 million on Lewis Hall. The money's there. It's just what they want to put it on. And
well, I agree. If we're not going to go for another midfielder, then we need to look at a left back 100%. I suppose... No, I was just going to say, and I suppose, with the way you look at it, Tom, about getting rid of Harry Amas for $6 million, to me, $6 million is petty cash. You know what I mean? It's not $6 million to Manchester United. It's just throwaway money. And that's probably a thing. If it came out and said 30 million for him, then I'd probably go, yeah, maybe that's fair. But $6 million, man.
Wasn't it 8 mil?
Chelsea.
No, 6.
It's six,
Six.
is it?
It's
It's
six. But the
six.
thing,
Like,
I
you
guess
look at
the thing
Chelsea.
about-
Chelsea just sold Garnacho for 40. Was it
What?
40?
No,
35, 40.
He's on a loan with
He's
a.
on loan.
That's really interesting. I've done a lot of deep diving into that because of the ramifications on Villa's profit if they'd assigned him on a permanent deal, and the fact they had to make that a condition of the loan, so they wouldn't eat into their 117 million profit, and the fact that they now can't buy a player from Chelsea before the transfer window ends without eating into the profit. So there's an interesting shell game going on between those two. And if you've got a bit of a technical brain and you love reading into PSR and FFP and all that sort of stuff, there's some great podcasts and stuff on it, which have been really interesting to listen to. But the one thing I will say with United recently, which we definitely weren't doing under the previous regime, is that we've got quite good with sell-on clauses. And we've put them into players that we've let go in the last couple of years. And it's actually worked out for us pretty well. Mason Greenwood's going to generate £12 million from his move to Fenerbahce, I think it is. We've got a couple of others. We've actually got one on the Garnacho deal, should that be made permanent at the end of the season. And that's no guarantee, given you had Harvey Elliott there last year who didn't even make 10 starts. So that's a really interesting one to keep an eye on. The thing I'm kind of drawn to at the minute is we've take out the first window that Ineos had when they didn't have a proper structure in place and they were just buying players that Ten Hag wanted. I think last year we pretty much got it spot on with who we brought in. They were all successful one way or another. So I think whilst it's a bit frustrating as a United fan at times in a transfer window, when you have Ed Woodward 10 years ago saying we can do things that other clubs can't do, we simply can't do that anymore. And I think the business that we have done this year so far has been good. So I think when we get to the end of the window, I think we'll have a left back in. I think we'll have a second striker in. I'm not sure about a midfielder. If we do, I don't think it's going to be a marquee name. But I think judges at the end of August, start of September. But right now, with the business we have done has been good. The Amas thing is frustrating because of the fee. But I think they're looking to flip a few players this summer to try and get some profit in. And that's just unfortunately.
We talk 6 million, 6 million for Harry. But then we go and spend 4 million on another 18-year-old, plus what was it, Thompson or something like that? And that was 4 million plus 4 million. So he could be 8 million.
Yeah, but
so instead of buying him, it just doesn't make sense to me.
But with the add-ons with that deal, I'm fine with, because they're achievable add-ons if he makes a certain number of first-team appearances. Which, if he does, he's going to be worth more than 4 mil. So if we pay those add-ons, then he'll have been a success and we'll have probably tenfold our value, I'd have thought, because that's the way the club has structured it. That, from what I've read and what I've listened to, was a market opportunity. He had 1 year left on his deal, and United are really focusing at the minute on picking up players for this talent pool that are almost too good for the Rezzies, but they're on the cusp of the first team because that's where they see a lot of value. Yeah. And I mean, heaven for me, absolute steal, right? Like, exactly. We can get 10 players like that. Even if you got 10 players and 5 of them were a success and 5 of them weren't, you're making your money back if you flip them. And if you don't flip them, they're staples of your team, whether they're squad players. Like, if United want a title-winning team, they need a John O'Shea. They need a Wes Brown when he was back in the team.
It was going to be my last point, Dan. Sorry to interrupt it because I agree exactly what you're saying. But out of all the names we have mentioned there in regards to Manchester United squad and all the left backs around Europe or who we want or all the youth players, the one name none of us have mentioned, which has been the Warrior story at the back for me this year, has been Mazraoui. He's potentially got 1 or 2 links with looking away. I think he's so important. Whether you rate him or don't rate him, I just think what he offers, he's so important to keep this year with the added games. Luke Shaw's he's going to have to go to left back. He can fill in at right back. So I think that's not to say don't go and invest in a big left back, but I think keeping Mazraoui, I'm a bit nervous about that story with linking him with a potential or at least interest in him.
Yeah,
well, Tom, it's interesting you brought that up because I was actually going to mention Mazraoui as well because he's actually signed with a new agency.
Yeah,
I saw that.
So now you don't, as an agent, you don't sign a player unless you're committing to something, whether that's a new contract that new contract which generates that income and commission from an agency perspective, or a more lucrative move away. So he's a very versatile player, and when you look at successful players like John O'Shea, in title-winning teams who have played left back, centre back, defensive midfielder, centre back even. Mazraoui also ticks all those boxes, and he is definitely a player that we need to be doing what we can to keep. Absolutely, because if you don't bring in a marquee left back, he was arguably Morocco's best player in the World Cup, and he played left back for the whole tournament.
Yeah.
So,
but I agree with you, mate. I think the thing is with that is this regime seems to be operating on everybody has a price kind of mantra, right? So if someone comes in and blows out the water from Mazraoui, and I don't want him gone, I don't think we should sell. I think that'd be really stupid. But say someone comes in and goes, he had a really good World Cup. He's what, 28, 27, something like that. They go, here's 55 million on the table, all up front.
Brilliant.
I think United probably do take it. Because
we bought him for 12, didn't we?
Exactly.
Did we buy him for 12?
And this is what I mean, right? Like if you're trying to maximize, like we look at this sentimentally as fans a little bit, and I think you've got to remember that the guys in charge of the club are not going to be looking at it the same way as us. They're probably looking at it at the minute as how can we generate the most amount of money to put us in a position in future years where we can win a title. And if they think that Mazraoui is someone that's not going to contribute to that because he's going to be too old or whatever, from their point of view, they'd probably go, well, he's just had a brilliant World Cup. Can we maximize his value now? Now, the frustrating thing for me with that is they had the 2-year rule, allegedly, with these players that obviously if you're not cutting it within 2 years, you're gone. Well, then Mason Mount's been here for 3. Like, how long are we going to persist with him? It just seems ridiculous. You've got
that's a real worrying situation, man. That situation where I'm seeing Mason Mount after watching him against Southampton and even in these friendlies, he hasn't impressed me at all playing in the midfield. That's what scares me. I just think, especially when Carrick and that came out, or Ineos came out and spoke about Mason Mount learning a new position in the team. I don't want to see him there. I don't know about you blokes, but if that's coming out from Old Trafford that he's going to be playing there, then I can't see us getting another midfielder unless we get him and then Belaber or something like that.
I don't see it. Yeah,
I do think from a midfield perspective, if you look at where we're at now versus the end of last season, we're in the same position, really, with Ugarte injured for 8 months, and then Casemiro gone, and let's say we've replaced those players for like players. Arguably, maybe Tielemans is a bit of a different personnel. We're in the same position that we're in at the end of last season with a busier fixture list this season. I can't see us not bringing in another one. I do think that there will be another midfield signing, but I think it might be someone with Premier League experience again, which I'm liking. And I do. Even though I'd love to bring in Manu Kone and some other players who are good over abroad, I do see us probably going for a deal like
Sander
Berg from Fulham. Because of that Premier League experience, and then maybe using that money a little bit more strategically for a second striker. I do.
Anybody?
Yeah, well, I do. And I want to call that part out because I think Chelsea seem to have changed their tact from a transfer perspective since Alonso's come in, and there seems to be a bit of a likeness to what we've been doing in previous windows, going for Premier League experience and things like that. And I'd be disappointed if we didn't try for Welbeck, because I would love him back at the club, and I think he'll do a great job for us. And I think
that's 2 big pieces of news, isn't it, over the last 24 hours?
Oh, mate, when I saw that break this morning, I was wounded.
Devo, man.
Absolutely wounded. Just because we looked at bringing him back last year, he's got 1 year left on his deal. If you turn around to him and said, "Look, you're on you match whatever Chelsea pay," he'd 100% come back to United. There's not a doubt in my mind that he would rather play for United than Chelsea, and he's exactly what we need. Like, his career is really weird. He's peaking at 35. Like, He's the perfect.
And I feel like he's got
CM.
unfinished business at the
Oh,
club.
for sure. We should never let him go. The fact that we let him go when we did, and we brought in Falcao, who was frankly a flop. Like, I was gutted when we let him go. I'm gutted if he goes to Chelsea. I thought we'd try and get him after he left Arsenal, but no, he went to Brighton, and it's just like, just bring him home, man. Like we need that second striker that can back up Seska. We can't go into the season with no second number 9. We can't do it.
Do you see it in a situation where if we don't get Welbeck or bring Welbeck in, because that has actually been talked through Manchester United players over the past probably 6 months or so.
Mm.
Do you see a situation where Rashford is going to be playing in that 9 with Sesko? Or
he's an option, isn't he? He's
Mate, all 3 of them.
Yeah,
Rashford, Mbeumo, Cunha will all play in that 9 position during the season.
I think when you're playing a bloke 350 bags a week, you've got to play him. And I think the problem we've got now is that I personally think, from Rashford's point of view, and he won't, because why would you? I wouldn't do this. But if the club turned around to you and said, look, the PR on you coming back is going to be horrific because most of the fan base don't want you to play for us again. If you take a pay cut that puts you in line with the rest of the squad and you come out and do some media and say, look, I apologise for how this turned out. Let's just get back to trying to win trophies. I think that would work wonders for him with the fan base. Whether United can do something where they go, look, reduce your salary this year to in line with the squad, and then in the summer we'll try and flip you. I don't know, but I think something like that's going to have to happen because there's no way in this world that a bloke that's left the club in such acrimonious circumstances and come out and said he didn't want to ever play for us again, and he takes a loan at Villa so he can get a move to Barcelona because he really doesn't want to stay, can come back into this squad where we seem to have really fixed the culture in the last 2 years and be earning double what most of the best players in the team are earning. You'd be fuming. If that was another colleague of yours that was doing less work than you on double the pay, you'd be raging. So the club are going to have to get on top of that. And you look at the Amas fee and you go, does that even cover his wages for the year? Like, just that's a real problem. That is problem number 1 for United at the minute, I think, and probably a reason why we've not made, or certainly a contributing reason why we've not made any big money signings since Tielemans, because they don't know whether they can flip it. Yeah. So,
where are you sitting on this, Tom? You always have a really good opinion with Rashford and the way things worked out with him.
I'm not sure if it's a good opinion or not. I think I'm very much on the fence with it.
You have a very different opinion to me. So we always have this discussion. So
I've never not rated the ability of Rashford. I've never rated the overall player as highly as many, even when he was flying in 16, 17, 17, 18, that type of prime Marcus Rashford in terms of getting in behind. It's been a headache for defences. Obviously, that part of his game is fantastic. And when he's at his best, of course, he's an asset to any team. And it was well on his way, in my opinion, to becoming a Manchester United great or even a Manchester United legend. His off-the-ball work, is among the worst I've ever seen at Manchester United. And I'm not talking about sort of little things. I'm talking sort of if he's a left winger and the ball's on the right-hand side, sometimes the way I view football, I look at the work that someone is doing 50, 60 metres away. And that is the proper sort of a work a manager will look or and a teammate will value. And Marcus Rashford, even in his prime, even when he's scoring 20, 30 goals a season, his work rate in positions like that has been so detrimental to the team. And for me, that has been a killer for me. That has always swayed my opinion into not quite fancying him too much. Now, of course, when you start scoring 20, 30 goals, football's fickle, and I'll change my mind. Of course, the goals will outweigh that. But the way he did leave, I don't see a way he can win the fans over. If he puts in a bad performance, which is natural, it's going to happen. Bruno Fernandes is going to put in a bad performance. The moment he puts in a bad performance, I don't see how he can come back from that, both in regards to fans at Old Trafford and the fans online. I just don't see a scenario where it's going to be in sync with what Michael Carrick is trying to build in regards to some type of positivity, both for Marcus Rashford. He needs to kick on with his career as well. I think we've seen almost, I wouldn't say rejuvenated Marcus Rashford, but there's a weight sort of holding him back at Manchester United, and I also think he holds Manchester United back a little bit as well, and that's the nature of the beast we have built with Marcus Rashford on and off the pitch. But I think I'm going to have to bite the bullet and accept I do think he's going to come back. I do think he's going to play for Manchester United. Now, if he's at his best and Manchester United are playing good football and on the front foot, and we don't have to worry too much about the defensive sort of work rate, now you're always going to have to worry about it. But if we're scoring 3 or 4 goals a game, you can have a little bit of a leeway. I'll shut up and think, thank you for the goals, Marcus. Continue. I'm hesitant to think that's going to be the case. And if he is going to come back, the only steps I would take if I was in Marcus Rashford's camp would be, it's in and around this game here, YouTube. I think the only steps he can take at the start are to get on Rio Ferdinand's YouTube channel. I don't think it can be with the club. I don't think it can be an article with Henry Winter. I think it needs to be a sit down with Rio Ferdinand, and as honest as it can be. It'll never be 100% honest, but I do think it needs to be honest and say, Rio needs to put on him, say, you haven't worked hard enough in the United shirt. Why? Now, that's not going to be the question, but I do think there is more chance of that happening there than in an article from MUTV or The Times. And I do think if he does answer that honestly and apologise wholeheartedly, that's a first step. Because the story is written. I don't want Marcus Rashford back. If he comes back to play for Manchester United, okay, he could flop. It could be a disaster. The other story's there. Go win us a Premier League title. That story is written. And I'm just thinking that is the way this can go. That is how fickle us football fans can be. But I do think the first step Marcus Rashford needs to take coming back is find a way to be completely honest with the fans, because otherwise a bad pass, pulling out of a tackle, dribbling the ball out.
Chasing back's the one that's going to eat him up.
But he's got that in his game, though. You've seen him in the games that he played in the World Cup. He's got that in his game. He can do that. It's an attitude thing.
But the fans, he may have done it in the World Cup, but the fans are around Old Trafford. That's their biggest criticism of him. His criticism isn't about scoring goals, because he scored 138 of them. The biggest criticism is Marcus Rashford working for the team. And mate, this is noise to my ears, because I listen to it all the time. Tom and I have discussions about this all the time. And it took me a long, long time to come to part with Marcus Rashford. It wouldn't, and I love the guy, mate. You know how much stuff I've got of his and everything like that. But honestly, I accepted Rashford needed to go. And I'm still struggling and worried for him if he does come back and he does do what Tom just said. It could work out even worse for him.
Did you have, now we're optimistic in terms of as soon as we kick off the first game of the season, we're going to be thinking if we score a goal here, we're top of the table, we're going to win the league. That's the nature of being a Manchester United fan. How much hope do you have or optimism do you have of not Marcus Rashford leading us to a title or turning it around, but coming in and positively contributing to Manchester United on and off the pitch? I say off the pitch, not in terms of the work he does, obviously very good there, but in terms of the noise and the feeling and the weight Marcus Rashford sort of pulls around the club. Do you think it does go well, or do you think it's going to be a shit show?
It can. There is more potential for it to go well than I think what some United fans see. I am a little bit more of an optimist than a pessimist when it comes to these sorts of things, but I think it's now or never. It because the league, and I've had this conversation with Adam a few times, I believe that the league is so wide open this year. The opportunity is there to grab it by the scruff of the neck from our perspective. And if the players have got the right mindset and attitude and can see that going into the season, I could see us coming really close this year. I really can. But there are other contributing factors that need to happen off the pitch for that. And that's Dan mentioned the wage thing. That is something that will upset the likes of Mateus Cunha, who's known to be a bit outspoken as a player off the field. I do think from a training perspective and stuff and keeping that culture that's something that even Ruben Amorim worked really hard to I guess to build. And I think we want it. That part needs to stay in place as well. And hopefully Marcus can just slot back into that if he was to be in the team. But I think with a couple of contributing factors off the field going right as well, I do think that he can give us that impact that we're wanting. But even from a Champions League side of things too, you saw what he did for Barca in the Champions League last year. And I think that like he can do that for us as well. But there's a lot of moving parts, I think, that even we probably don't even know about.
I would ask you, or Adam, feel free as well, and this is not me criticising Michael Carrick. I'm more than happy with Michael Carrick as Manchester United manager. I absolutely love him. Is he the manager for Marcus Rashford? One, in regards to football, the way he wants to play as a left winger, the way to manage that personality. Whatever we think of Marcus Rashford, whether he's a good kid or a bad kid, there's a narrative, there's a persona that comes with him, there's an entourage that comes with him, there's baggage that comes with him. But at his core, I think Marcus Rashford is obviously a good kid who gets on with Michael Carrick. Is he the manager to put an arm around him and get the best out of him? Or does he need to manage the noise around Marcus Rashford, not him personally, but the situation? And is he the manager for that? Does Michael Carrick need this put on his doorstep?
Oh, for me, I think he is. I just like the way for me, and I've said this for a while. When Carrick was appointed, I was talking about a man manager. I always believe managers. You've got your backroom staff who work on the games, and then your main manager works in with them. But for me, your main manager, Michael Carrick, needs to be a very good man manager, and I think he does do that well. You saw how that you can't tell me that tactically Michael Carrick, you got Hall in the background, and I think he does that well with him. And I thought Carrick turned the season around mainly because he got the players being positive. And I understand that winning games brings positivity. But I think Michael Carrick really had to install that into the players before they started winning. And I think the first speech that Carrick put into that squad brought unity into the squad. And I think he can do that with Marcus Rashford. I think Rashford, Marcus Rashford is a Manchester United fan, okay? So he says. And you can't deny that. But Michael Carrick's a big part of Manchester United's history as well. You know what I mean? As Marcus Rashford is growing up, he would have looked up to Carrick. He would have still been around. Marcus was there from the time he was like 9 or 10 years old. Carrick would have been around the club still then. So you would think, I firmly believe Carrick is the man to bring Marcus Rashford back. I want to say I hope so. But
That's where it's interesting.
I really believe that.
Because I do think there is an element to that which I agree with. I think the caveat or the other side of the coin, you would look at that. Okay, let's say Michael Carrick does all this work, this fantastic work to get Marcus Rashford back to a level to play for Manchester United. Is that at the detriment of, as Elliot said, Matthias Cunha is now not happy, Brian Mbeumo is not happy, Benjamin Sesko's so we've got this one good player who's now happy, but now that's maybe caused. I'm not saying that will be the issue, but I just think that is the balance, such a tricky balancing act any manager has, but especially Manchester United. I think that is where
you would think with Steve Holland there at the helm with Steve Holland, like him and Carrick seem to work well together. It's proven already. We finished third. No one would have thought, when Amorim got sacked, we're finishing third. We're all hoping top 8. So there's a big element of the players really do like these guys. And I'm hoping that the Cunhas and the Seskos and, Bruno Fernandes and that, there is no jealousy in the team. Yeah. You want to hope that every player that's coming into that squad now, I just don't want to see that jealousy.
Oh, yeah, I definitely don't. I'm not accusing those players
I think,
of throwing that choice out.
Yeah. I just don't see this squad being like that. I just don't see it.
You mentioned Steve Holland there. I forget who brought it up. It might have been Michael Carrick himself, or it might have been Jonathan Woodgate, or it might have been a journalist, maybe Andy Minton or someone. Apparently, Steve Holland is a big Manchester United fan. Like before, as a kid growing up.
Yeah.
And that's not, I need a good coach in there. I don't need a fan in there. It's obviously, it's not a necessity for the job, but it's a nice to have. But that is where the situation our dressing room does find ourselves in, with one or two potential sort of hurdles in there with one or two personnel. Yeah, having a Michael Carrick, having a Steve Holland, having those players in and around someone who's brought into the club like a Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford at his best off the pitch. If he can find that, that's a good trait to have. So there is the optimism and hope of this part of the story that it could turn around and you can see how it goes well. But we can't bury our head in the sand and just be naive to the fact that if this could go wrong, and if it does go wrong, this is a bad look on a lot of people, and it's going to take a lot of fixing. And I don't know how you do fix it in regards to the specifics of August to May in this season.
Look, we were talking just before about one thing that Rashford can do to, get the fans on side. For me, he needs to just come out and take a pay cut. It's as simple as that. That's as simple as that. If Rashford came out and said he'd take a pay cut, you can't tell me the fans would just go, hang on a minute, he's serious. Like,
he could even lie to me. He could even lie. He could say that. He could sign a contract.
That's it. Like, it could be a situation with, just come out and lie about it. But like, that's how simple that fix is. That's how simple that fix is. And Dino's like in here and he says, I'll just bring it up. He's just joined us and he's missed a bit of the show. He's just put, what about all his stuff he said on social media in the past 18 months? I would be more worried about the fans' reaction more than the players. We did speak about that just before you jumped on. But and Tom was bringing that up before, but I swear to you, if he took a pay cut, that would be it. And the fans would go, he's taking it serious now. You know what I mean?
He does need to be successful on a return. The win needs to happen before he steps on the football pitch. Yes, when he gets on there, he needs to track back. He needs to deliver. He needs to do all those things. It is, as we've said, what interview he does, what the contract situation is, and what he says. And words are cheap. Actions do speak louder than words. But those things off the field are going to dictate how we see him when he walks on the field. 100%. And it's going to be so important. If he just walks in like another player on back from loan, he's finished.
Oh, in my honest opinion, and you'll hear it here first, and I've had plenty of discussions about this, I wanted him back, but after talking about it probably seriously over the past few pods, I honestly don't want him back. I've enjoyed watching him at Barcelona. I've enjoyed watching him move on, and I'm one of his biggest supporters. And I've honestly, I want to see us move on from these players. You know what I mean? Like Luke Shaw's another one I want to move on from. Luke Shaw. The interesting part of the discussion
is, I agree though, I don't want Marcus Rashford back, but I think what we're having to do now, this discussion over the last 10, 15 minutes, just the situation the club is in, I think we're going to have to accept he is coming back. So how are we just going to say, I'm not watching because Marcus Rashford's playing stuff this, I'm not a Man United fan anymore. No, we're going to be invested. We're going to give him our support. We're going to be sort of watching. So I think it's now, I don't want him back, but he's got to be back. So how am I going to deal with this?
One thing I guess we've not spoken about, and just to like in terms of, I believe he's come out and said he doesn't want to sign for another club in England. If he gets a move, it has to be abroad. Now, I guess for me, top layer of that tells me, okay, he's loyal. He doesn't want to go and sign for another club permanently. But there's other layers under that. And I guess, like, what do you guys think of those, of those words that he sort of come out and said?
I don't see if Aston Villa fronted up some money when his loan was terminated, their loan came to an end there. I think he would have played for Aston Villa. I still think now he's the furthest from this manager's player. I do think if Arsenal don't get one or two of their targets over the line, I do think that is an option for both Manchester United and Arsenal to explore. I do think Marcus Rashford will jump at the chance to go to Arsenal. Well, we say, no, how could a Manchester United fan do that? I think the situation, London, Premier League champions, their need for a left winger, I see that. Now, he doesn't work hard enough to beat a Mikel Arteta team. So there's obviously one or two pitfalls there. Arsenal do lack a superstar in regards to a name. Like Declan Rice, like, come on, he's not a superstar. Like Marcus Rashford is the name, who he would be there. And I just think I see a scenario deadline day signing at Arsenal. If Arsenal don't get their targets over, I do think that becomes a story. And I do think they would pay money for Marcus Rashford. Yeah. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I want it to happen, or be a fan of that deal happening. But
it's interesting.
I think Marcus Rashford moves in England if an offer comes in and he's happy with it. I don't think it's a loyal. Look, I like to think I can sit here and say I'll never join any other club. When money's put on the table and careers are at sort of turning points, would be interesting.
Yeah. I think. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, and side note, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that left wing position at Arsenal pans out. I know Vinny Jr. is delayed to go back to training, uncertainty on his future, and there is some big links with him to Arsenal. There's your big name player. If they get that over the line, I'll be fucking surprised if they do. Excuse my language. I'll be very surprised if Vinny Jr. signs for Arsenal. But I guess they are Premier League champions, and they nearly went all the way in the Champions League too. So they are probably the powerhouse club in England, you'd think. Interesting. I like Rashford, but I think there's just so many moving parts in that topic to get right for him to play for us. There's gonna be some sort of disruption somewhere. Yeah. There's gonna be fire. There's gonna be a fire or two to put out.
I've got Dave here on TikTok. He's going, why don't PSG and Bayern Munich take him off our hands? I wouldn't want us to give him to one of our rivals, he was saying. Yeah. I think we're all in the same situation, but there must be other things going on for clubs not to come in, and we don't know what's behind the scenes, but you usually hear of it. Like a club like PSG, if they wanted him, they could easily go and get him. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we could talk about his wages as much as sorry?
They weren't going for him, I guess, PSG, but I think that's a club that I could probably see him going to, considering they've not got their left wing target. He looks like he's going to Real Madrid, the Diamonde from Ivory Coast at RB Leipzig. So I've also read that Bradley Barcola is leaving PSG as well. So there is some movement in the PSG camp. That's I could see him going there. I guess we've got 5 weeks till deadline day. So a lot to happen between now and then, I think.
Yeah. Look, it has been a funny one for me. What do you think of the two new signings, boys? We haven't really touched on them. I'm really impressed with them, which is really good. So, Tom, I haven't spoken to you about them at all. Well, are you happy with the signings? The two main signings.
Yeah, well, look, Andre Santos, I think, I remember him a handful of games at Chelsea. He's not a player I think, oh my God, well, look at this guy playing here. Let's go get him. That's not to say he wasn't deserving of his move to Manchester United, but from everything that I have researched and looked at since he has joined Manchester, I think, okay, I like that. I like that. I think that could potentially work. And then his first two appearances, albeit in pre-season, I'm not a huge fan of reading too much into any of these games, but you think, okay, look sharp enough. Whether he's going to be a mainstay in Manchester United's midfield or, okay, someone who's going to play 25, 30 games in hopefully a 60-game season if Manchester United do well in the Cups in Europe, he looks okay. Compared to what other players are going for, I think I don't mind that price. No, I'm not saying he's worth that. But then you go on the other hand, Yuri Tillemans, we haven't seen him kick a ball in a Manchester United shirt, but the way I have seen him kick a ball in England, I think that is a hell of a deal. Now, how it's going to translate and how it's going to sort of look in a Manchester United shirt, time will tell. Is he going to be first name on the team sheet? Where does he fit in? Does he sort of play a little bit deeper than he usually does? He's obviously not going to play in the number 10 role with Bruno Fernandes. So does he play in with Kobbie Mainoo? Okay, that looks very good on paper. Does it give you the defensive cover? Maybe not. But then you look at the way Michael Carrick, the way we think he views football, because the way he played the game, there was never a defensive bone in any midfield of Manchester United when Michael Carrick and Paul Scholes played there. They just kept the ball. So if you got Yuri Tillemans and Kobbie Mainoo, you don't need to worry about that defender in there. You just got the ball more than the other team. Now, that's a very simplistic way of looking at it, but I'm not quite sure how the midfield shapes up with Andre Santos, Yuri Tillemans, another midfielder plus Kobbie Mainoo, and obviously Bruno Fernandes is definitely going to be taking up one of those spots. So ultimately, I forget, it might have been Elliot at the start of the pod mentioned in regards to the midfield is probably stronger this year than it is last year. I look at it and probably think losing Casemiro now, if I was to wait up now, today, it's a touch weaker, losing the quality of Casemiro. But I think you just add one extra body. I think even though we've lessened the quality, Casemiro is better than Yuri Tillemans and Andre Santos. I think if you gave us an extra body in there, the depth and the options in there would make it stronger than last year's quality with Casemiro. So I don't know how it shapes up, but I do think the two signings have been, I'd say, good signings. And especially when look at the debate for another day, but some of the other teams like Elliot Anderson, I think, is a good player. I think a good midfielder. 116 million. I cannot get my head around it. This Bradley Barcola going to Liverpool, they reckon potentially £150 million. And I'm just thinking,
it's craziness.
Some of the price tags are just out of this world. And I just think, yes, we do need, we get frustrated and we go spend the money. It's not our money. Well, it is our money. We're pumping the money into the club, and we'll be the first to complain if they just could have got a bag of cash and threw it over into the river. We'll be complaining. So it is our money they're spending. But we do have to also sort of rein it in a little bit and accept, okay, if we can get a player for 35 million, who is the same quality as a player for 116 million, okay, that's good business. So not to say Ineos have been fantastic, but some of the price tags, like what would Vinny Jr. Vinny Jr. will go for 120, 130 million, one year left on his contract. How's he going to perform in England? Might be fantastic. I could see him being an absolute disaster. No, that's not to say he would be, but I just think it's crazy. So I'm happy with Manchester United's additions. However, I do need a few more.
Yeah, I think, and I think with the midfield, I don't think, we're no better off, and we're probably from bodies, we're no worse off either with the Ugarte injury and the Casemiro moving away and being out of contract. I think you look at the quality. We've got the quality. We've got the quality in our squad already. I believe. Before the window opened, I do think what we're lacking more now is depth than quality. So, I think breaking the bank to go and get Elliot Anderson make no sense. Whereas if you look at Sander Berg, who's probably going to cost you maybe 25, 30 million. If you go for him, you've essentially bought three players for less than what Anderson cost Man City. And that's when I say depth is more preferable than quality, from my perspective at the moment. I would have expected some more bigger names from our first team to maybe be linked with moves away. At the moment, not so much. I'd like to see us generate a bit more income, so that we can maybe add some more to our depth. I'd like to see the back of Xerxes, because, to be honest, he's better off pulling a cart as a horse than playing up front. And I think the fullback conversation is certainly, one I'd like to see someone at the end of the transfer window as well. I've read we were potentially having a look at Jed Spence as well. Don't know how I feel about it. But certainly, there's certainly three more players I would like before the window shuts.
Well, minimum, right?
Yeah, minimum.
I mean, go back to the Spence. I'll touch on the Spence one briefly. Having watched him play in a couple of games for Spurs, and I'm not going to sit here and claim I watched every game for Spurs last year because I didn't. But the games I did watch him play wasn't the best. And then for England at the World Cup, very good when he came on. So as a depth piece, as long as we're not paying anything above 20 million, I'm fine. Like again, it's priced with him. But like I think your point's very valid, both of you, about depth. The way you win a title with this current team is you raise the floor. You improve your worst player. If you keep improving your worst player, the ability of your overall squad is going to be significantly improved over the course of a couple of years, right? And I think we did that well last year. We brought in 3 very good players. And if we can bring in, I like Sander Berge as an option. I think he's one a lot of people are probably quite underwhelmed with, but I think he's come on to a different level since he's joined Fulham. Like at Sheffield United, when we were linked with him, I thought it was a good option. But I think at Fulham, he's taken it to a new level. He's more experienced now. He could probably make that step. And again, he's not going to be starting every week. It means we have the options there to rotate, which is what we need. So, yeah, I think Tom's point is very prudent. The fact that we've not gone out and spent.
I think there's a term. There's a term that's gone among the big YouTube channels and a lot of the articles and sort of the journalists out there. There's a term. It's always been there, but I think it's been kind of, in a way, I'd say hijacked this term in terms of ambition. You got to show ambition. And the way as fans and the way the media's looking at and evaluating ambition is price tag. Go spend 100 million on a player. Go spend 150 million on a player. And that's ambition. Forgetting if the player's going to be bad or not. Forget that. Forget if he's going to be a flop or fifth team. Just spend the money. The more money you spend is the better the player. Yeah. No, ambition behind the right player. The right player, he might be worth £15 million. If he's the right player, that's the ambitious signing. Not going to spend £170 million on a player because that shows ambition. That shows an intent. He might be the wrong player, which United have done, my God, how many times over the last 10, 15 years. So we do need to be ambitious and spend money. But this is where you do have to place trust and a little bit of demand on the scouts and the recruitment to go, if they believe the player worth £10 million is going to be better for Manchester United than the player is going to be 80. What's the difference between a £10 million player and an £80 million player? The other guy got an extra leg, an extra pair of boots. No, there's 2 arms, 2 legs. They're the same thing. We just have a different demand on them because of a price tag, because of a wage, because of what they look like, because of what club they've played at before. They're still a footballer. I'm watching Western Sydney Wanderers here against Chelsea. It's 2-2. Now, it's pre-season, obviously, but they're the same footballers. Yeah. But we value players differently based on these superficial things that Football Manager has his rating at a 99 or something. And
I think they've earned that trust as well, right, mate? Like, off the last year, I think they've earned the trust. And you're very right. United had that stat where we had something like 4 of the 5 most expensive Premier League players at a certain point, and none of them translated to success, right? And if I've read Soccernomics, which is a very intriguing book if any of you have read it, and the assumption is, or the data suggests, that the teams with the highest wage bills are the most successful. And like that would make sense if you look at it over a course of, I don't know, 3 decades or so. The only anomaly to that was Manchester United this century. We had a ridiculously high wage bill and we didn't win a league title after 2013.
Well, everyone crying online now to go Manchester and go make a statement. Go get that player who's going to win us Premier League title. Let's say
I don't want them to do that.
But that's why, because let's say that is go spend 100 million on a right winger from Ajax. That shows ambition.
Yeah,
that was Anthony.
It's the most ridiculous statement. Man.
Is what it showed. It was just pathetic, wasn't it? And that's the thing. Yeah. Like it doesn't feel panicked. Like that's the one thing I will say over the last 2 years, particularly this season, doesn't feel panicked at all. We've gone for a target. Okay, we've not got him. There's been no leaks about anything, which we had under Woodward and Murtagh and all that sort of stuff. There's been none of that. We've just quietly gone about our business, and it's been done quick. There was no links to Tielemans. It was done within 24 hours.
Santos deal was pretty clear and quick as well.
Like that's what I want as a fan. I want to get excited once the players are through the door, but I don't want to be paying ridiculous fees to sign players we don't know if they're going to be a success. And you've got the stadium to factor into this as well, right? Like the fans are going to be copping a large portion of the stadium costs. Whether you like it or not, that's going to happen. Season tickets are going to go through the roof. I've read things about us having seat licenses now. So you pay for your season ticket and then you have to pay for a seat license on top of that as a way to generate more money. United are going to have a period of time, like Arsenal did, like Tottenham did, where there's a large portion of funds that are put towards the stadium. Now, Andy Burnham's becoming the UK Prime Minister or the English Prime Minister shortly, by the looks of it. Now, he was a massive advocate for the stadium and government spending towards that. So that might help United in the long term if he stays in power, because he suddenly becomes not the mayor of Manchester anymore, or the MP of Manchester. He becomes the leader of the country. So that benefits United long term. But how much of that is going to get funded? How much of it is going to be able to be funded by the Glazers? I doubt very little. How much of it is going to be funded by Ratcliffe and Ineos? And then the rest of it is going to be funded by the fans. So United have to act prudently financially for the next few years, right? And if that means buying players at 20, 30 million pounds or 20 to 60 million pounds that raise the floor of the team to a point where we're able to consistently qualify for the Champions League, consistently compete, and then we need maybe one signing, a one statement signing to make the team complete. Like Arsenal did it, Rice, Liverpool did it, Alisson and Van Dijk. Like, it happens. You build the team to a point where you need a specialist player, right? I'm quite happy with that. Don't have to go and spend hundreds of millions in this transfer window because we've now made the Champions League again and we're just going to throw cash at Carrick. I think what we're doing is really sensible, and I think the signings we've made are really sensible. And I've got faith that Ineos will get it right in the last few weeks of this window, and we'll be sat here on September the 1st saying, wow, I think we're in a position now where we can confidently get through the season and improve on what we did last year. And now improvement to fans may be different. So improvement for me this year would be finishing third again, going further in the cups and getting to the knockout rounds of the Champions League. That's improvement from where we were last year because of the number of games would have gone up by 20 or 30, right? Like, we played the minimum amount of games last year because we knocked out in the cups in the first round of each one. So let's get to a position where we can just compete and just keep building. What was it? Project 150, is it, for 2028? We were winning the title, allegedly. Genuinely, if we have a really good season this year and you go, right, we need 2 players, we need 1 player, it's possible. There's new managers afoot in the league this year. You've got Iraola at Liverpool, you've got Maresca at City, Arteta at Arsenal, and Tom made a very prudent point about Vinicius Jr., but also Bruno Guimaraes. If they get him, they're going to be on mad money. So they're going to have to
Deliver.
Compete, retain it, and they've won their first title in 20 years. Everybody around this table knows how hard it is to retain a title. It's harder than winning the thing. So I think Arsenal are under a lot of pressure this year. Tottenham have spent mad money on midfield players and defenders and stuff, so they're under a bit of pressure this year as well with De Zerbi. But there's a lot of change in the league. Carrick's the longest serving top 6 manager, isn't he, at the minute? Apart from Arteta. That's wild. Like, we're in a position where we can genuinely create something. So let's see how we go. But I'm happy. I think the roundabout point of that very long monologue there, apologies, was that I'm pretty happy with where we're at.
It's a good way to finish the spot, I reckon.
Yeah, mate. I'll just get to a couple of these comments. We've just gone over an hour, as we always do. Shane Scott, Liverpool was the highest wage last season and they were a flop. MUFC, GGMU, he's been with us the whole show, so thank you for staying with us, buddy. I love the surprise of the signings. Yeah, so do I, mate. I love that. And then I've got Yanni's come in here. For us to buy a 20 to 30 million pound player, we need to get them just before they have their big season. So it means fans have to be patient. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool.
I think, like I said before, I agree with Tom on more the fact that, like, with us, it's the 6 million that's probably getting everyone rather than it's probably 20 to 30. So, but he is a youth player, isn't he? So, anyway, I'm more about giving the boys a chance and really old school and don't get so much into the depth like Dan, Tom, and Elliot. So, I love to keep football basic. And MUFC, he's put up here.
You're a fossil.
And by the way, yeah,
Awesome.
I'm trying to come into the 21st century. That's why I do a lot of reels. I try and remember stuff. As I'm getting older, I'm forgetting a lot more. By the way, happy birthday to Michael Carrick. And not only Michael Carrick, happy birthday to my daughter, Kira. She turned 20 yesterday. I didn't forget that, which is good. So I'm gonna put Tom on the spot here. He is the vice president of the Manchester United Supporters Club in New South Wales. we have got memberships coming up. They're available now. Tom, give us the latest with the club and what's coming up.
What's coming up is we've got the AGM on Monday, the 10th of August at Scruffy Murphy's, which is obviously, for anyone in Sydney, feel free to come down. It's a bit of a sort of rundown on sort of the comings and goings of the club over the last year, the financial situation, and what we do have planned for the upcoming season. But for the upcoming season, it is a good start for the Supporters Club. We do have the 9:30 p.m. game to start the season against Hull on a Saturday night. So that's at Scruffy Murphy's. So that's the first big thing we do have this season. So as a supporters club, you're very much hamstrung by kickoff times, and usually they're 3 a.m. on a Monday, as everyone is far too familiar with. But to start the season on a Saturday night, 9:30 p.m., there's obviously always going to be a big night at the pub. So if anyone is in Sydney wants to get involved, those are your next 2 days, Monday the 10th of August, and I'm not sure the date of the first game, whenever that is, the first Saturday of the Premier League season. Away at Hull, and I hope Manchester United are wearing that blue kit. I am a big fan of the away blue kit.
Yeah,
And I will be there. I'm coming back to Scruffy's. I've had my year off Scruffy's, so I'm coming back there for that kickoff, 9:30 kickoff against Hull. I'm looking forward to that. So anyone wants a membership? Sorry, mate.
Can I become an interstate member?
Yeah,
no problem. We've definitely had a few. We try and sort of direct people to their local supporters club, but we've obviously always welcome if anyone does want to get involved. And there are ways to get involved with the supporters club if you're not in New South Wales or in Sydney. We do have sort of a members only sort of Facebook page where people can have a chat, members only WhatsApp group and stuff like that. In terms of we do get any sort of potential offers, as Adam mentioned, our chairman Mark is currently sort of organising a memorabilia sign with Ryan Giggs. So sometimes we put that information out to members as well. So that's obviously not designated to, okay, you have to be in Sydney. You can be anywhere across the country, but we do try and direct people to their local supporters club, because it is we look at Old Trafford now and the issues with ticketing and season tickets and the issue around fan culture. Supporters clubs are a huge part. I wouldn't know Adam, I wouldn't know you boys without it, sort of thing. And it is a huge part to wherever you are, whether it's Australia, England, Asia, Africa, America, to support your local supporters club. Because I don't know, Adam, I wouldn't say, would I be going too far and to say like it's changed my life being part of the supporters club? Like, it impacts it so much in regards to the people you meet, the relationships you form, and the way you support Manchester United.
100%, man. You know what I love the support. Look, I've had a year off since I've left the committee and everything like that. I needed to find myself a bit, and there is nothing better than being part of a supporters club. Nothing better. Everyone knows that I travel the world to go and meet supporter clubs. I just love it. It connects me. Worldwide Reds is the whole direction towards supporter clubs. I often go up to Brisbane and watch games up there. I've been down to Melbourne. I met Dan and Alex the other week. I love traveling, and there is nothing better than catching up with people from around the world. I regularly have Safwan come here from Malaysian Supporters Club. I talk to people regularly in America from their supporters club, right around. I often go on their podcasts, and there is nothing better than connecting with people that are Manchester United fans. Everyone's got different opinions. Everyone's like, I'm reading right through there. And like, we don't just have United supporters in here. We've got Natasha in here who, I don't know who she supports, but anyway, sometimes she thinks we don't have the news in Australia, but nothing better. Honestly, people, go join a supporters club. And one thing people have to be patient with, if in Australia, we don't have the luxury of what they're doing in Asia at the moment. But Asia's not far away. It's not far away. You can go there for a holiday. You can go and enjoy things over there as well. You know, we don't get the players that they get. But when the players do come here, go out and visit them. Make sure you support your team. Some of the best days of my life have been with the supporters club on tours in Perth, Melbourne, Sydney, and nothing better. You know, I'm dying for United to come here and have one up in Brisbane. It is unreal. The Brisbane Supporters Club would absolutely put one of the best nights on that you'll ever have in your life. They do a really good job here, and I've actually got something.
We're moving. We've moved.
Yeah,
Brisbane
I've got a
Supporters Club
poster
have
for
moved
it here.
venues.
Has Melbourne still got one?
No,
I don't think they did.
it's not official now. It's they've disbanded. We thought they would kick on after the tour,
Yeah.
but I think the one or two people had one or two disagreements and on how to sort of move forward.
Yeah.
And it never really, which is a shame because I think that the potential is there for a great supporters club in Melbourne, especially being attracted to Man United coming here. Not that I like the MCG, but you can obviously understand Manchester United's appeal in regards to getting 100,000 people in there. So, yeah, they don't. I'm not sure if Perth's official at the moment. I don't think Perth is official, but they still have their supporters club. I know Brisbane is obviously official, and our supporters club in Sydney, but Adelaide don't have one. Adelaide do have one, but again, it's not official. They've never been official, but I do think they do. I know their Facebook group have a fair few active members. I'm not sure about their consistency with meetups, and hopefully this first game of the season is 9:30. They can get the ball rolling for the season. But it is a little bit of a hassle to gain official status. Once you do gain official status, it is a little bit easier, but it would be hard to start up a supporters club and get that official status. So I can understand the hesitancy for people sort of trying to get the ball rolling, but you have to start somewhere.
Melbourne do have a crew that do get together.
Yeah,
they do have a crew that get together. Often I get messages from people, and if you're on Facebook, Dan, you're not on Facebook. They do have a page on Facebook where they do put where they meet up. I'm currently in talks with a guy in NZ at the moment. Bean, his name is on TikTok, and I'm actually trying to get him to get something going in New Zealand. So, which would be great to get something going over there because they're our nearest neighbour. But mate, I can't talk highly enough. I've been a member of a supporters club since I was probably 1994 it started. So I was probably 16, 17. So, and I had a few years off by having kids, but I've been part of our supporters club for the last 13 to 15 years now. So nothing better. Anyway, I've got one here from the Pig and Whistle as well. From BMUS. They've got a new venue, new era. They got a launch night. It kicks off at 9:30 p.m. So it's obviously on the 22nd of August, which is the opening day of the Premier League. They got lucky door prizes. They got food as well there. Pig and Whistle at South Bank, formerly the Charming Squires. So same thing, mate. The guys
venue.
up there, it's great, great place.
Great new
so
great venue that. So. It'll be good.
I've been to that one actually.
Yeah. I've actually been there for the Ashes. It was
Yeah. So I'm catching up with Dino. I'm going to that one. So
yeah. So anyway, people get out to your nearest supporters club and enjoy the time. I've got MUFC, GGMU, Adelaide. Yeah, don't have one now either. Yeah. So anyway, thank you fellas for coming on. Absolute pleasure. The knowledge in the house is always grand. Follow us on YouTube. Well, I think we're hitting like 500. We've just clicked over 560 followers there. I think we're literally 20 followers off 7,000 on TikTok, and we're getting our way up to 1,500 on Instagram. So we're working our way through. The pods will come quick and fast once the season starts, but and then when we might have a couple of emergency pods, maybe over the weekend. We will be live on TikTok, maybe over the weekend. 11 o'clock kickoff against Atletico, 11 p.m. Sydney time, which is a very good kickoff. We enjoy that time. So, and I think I've got Jordan maybe coming down for that one. So, thank you again, boys. We'll talk to you later. See you later. Check yous.
Cheers, boys.